Michael Turner rubbed his calloused hands together as he sat at the kitchen table, waiting. The clock on the wall ticked past 8:30 p.m. Rachel was late again. After 18 years of marriage, he could set his watch by her routines, or at least he used to. The lasagna he'd prepared, her favorite, sat cold in the oven. At 41, Michael's body carried the weight of his years at the steel plant. Foremanship had its privileges, but physical toll wasn't one of them. His broad shoulders slumped slightly as he checked his phone again. No messages. Just stuck in traffic, he muttered to himself, a habit he'd developed lately. Talking to the empty rooms of their modest three-bedroom home felt less pathetic than admitting he was lonely in his marriage. When the front door finally opened at 9:15, Rachel breezed in with a cloud of perfume he didn't recognize. "Sorry I'm late," she said, not meeting his eyes. Work meeting ran long. Michael rose to kiss her, but she turned, offering only her cheek. "I need a shower." "Been a long day," she murmured, pulling away. He watched her disappear upstairs, noticing how she clutched her phone. 3 months now since they'd made love. 3 months of excuses, headaches, exhaustion, stress. The intimacy that once came naturally had evaporated, replaced by mechanical interactions that felt more like roommates than lovers. "You're being paranoid," he told himself. Rachel worked hard at the insurance office. Everyone was stressed these days, but dinner that night followed the script of their new normal. Rachel picked at her food while scrolling through her phone. When a text came through, she laughed, a genuine laugh, the kind he hadn't heard directed at him in months, then quickly turned the screen away when he glanced over. "Who's that?" he asked, keeping his tone casual. "Just Karen from work." "You know how she is," she replied too quickly. She never mentioned Karen before. That night, lying beside his wife's sleeping form, Michael stared at the ceiling. The distance between them felt physical, measurable. Just 6 inches of mattress, but it might as well have been miles. The rhythmic sound of her breathing used to comfort him. Now it raised questions that gnawed at his insides. Rachel's phone glowed briefly on the nightstand with an incoming text. Almost midnight. Who messages an insurance agent at midnight? His hand twitched, tempted to reach over to know for certain. Instead, he clenched his fist until his nails bit into his palm. Last week, she'd claimed to be working late 3 times, but when he called her office on the 3rd night, Karen, the real Karen, had said Rachel left at 5. When confronted, Rachel dismissed it as a misunderstanding. She'd been working at a coffee shop near the office. Poor reception. He'd nodded, accepted the lie because the alternative would shatter everything. Michael had sacrificed for this marriage. Passed up a management opportunity in Pittsburgh because Rachel didn't want to leave her family. Worked double shifts to afford the down payment on this house. Built the backyard deck with his own hands because she wanted a place to entertain friends who rarely visited anymore. Now her phone glowed again in the darkness. "What if I'm not imagining this?" he whispered to the darkness. Michael stared at Rachel's phone on the nightstand, his fingers trembling inches away. One touch, one swipe, and he'd know. Instead, he pulled back, turned away. "If she's hiding something," he muttered, his jaw tight, "I'll find out the right way." Michael sat in his truck outside Harley Investigations, stomach churning with acid. 3 days of internal debate had led him here to this nondescript office with its faded blinds and discreet signage. He checked his watch. 7:30 a.m. His shift didn't start until noon. No one would miss him. Inside, Jim Harley's handshake was firm, his eyes devoid of judgment. The office smelled of coffee and paper. "I never thought I'd be doing this," Michael said, hating how his voice cracked. "No one ever does," Harley responded with a knowing nod. "But sometimes you need peace of mind." The words peace of mind lingered as Michael wrote the check for the retainer fee. $2,000, nearly a month's savings, for what he prayed would be evidence of his paranoia. Harley promised updates within days. The first report came faster than expected. Just 48 hours later, Michael sat in his truck during lunch break, staring at an email attachment. His thumb hovered over the download button for 3 full minutes before he tapped it. The photos loaded one by one. Rachel's car parked outside a gym. Rachel meeting a man in the parking lot, tall, younger, wearing expensive clothes. Nothing definitive, but enough to twist the knife deeper. 3 days later, Harley delivered the killing blow in person. "I'm sorry," he said, sliding a manila envelope across his desk. "There's video, too." Michael's hands trembled as he examined the contents. Rachel with the same man entering their home at 1:14 p.m. on Tuesday while Michael worked overtime. More photos. The man's BMW in their driveway. Rachel and the man embracing on their front porch. And finally, through the bedroom window, Rachel and her lover in Michael's bed. Their bed? The betrayal cut deeper knowing she'd brought him home. Not some anonymous motel or the man's place. Their home, where Michael had installed new flooring last summer, where they'd talked about starting a family before Rachel decided her career needed more time. "His name is Daniel Reeves," Harley explained, tapping the photo. "Financial advisor. Met your wife through a client, from what I could gather." That evening, Michael watched Rachel prepare dinner, moving around their kitchen as if nothing were wrong. He studied her actions with detached curiosity, like observing an actress in a play. "You've been working late a lot," he said conversationally, noting how her shoulders tensed almost imperceptibly. "End of quarter," she replied smoothly. "You know how it gets." "Must be tough," Michael nodded, "especially those late nights on Tuesday." Her hesitation lasted only a millisecond. "Worst day of the week. Client meetings back to back," she answered, eyes never leaving the vegetables she was chopping. The lie flowed from her lips with practiced ease. In that moment, something inside Michael, something warm and hopeful, died. The rage he expected didn't come. Instead, a strange calm spread through him, cooling his blood, clearing his mind. He wouldn't scream, wouldn't beg for explanations, wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing him broken. Later, alone in his truck, Michael re-watched the video. Rachel laughing with Daniel in their kitchen, drinking wine from glasses they'd received as wedding gifts. Rachel leading him upstairs. The sounds through the open bedroom window, captured by Harley's directional microphone, left nothing to imagination. Michael closed the video and stared at his reflection in the darkened phone screen. The face looking back seemed older, harder. The naive man who'd sat in Harley's office days ago was gone, replaced by someone with steel in his veins. "If you think you've humiliated me, Rachel," he whispered into the dark, "you haven't seen anything yet." He started the engine, decision made. This wouldn't end with divorce papers and lawyers. Rachel had defiled their home, their marriage, their life. She deserved more than a clean break. She deserved to lose everything, just as he had. Aaron Schmidt's basement workshop smelled of solder and circuit boards. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as Michael finished explaining the situation. His voice flat and emotionless, like he was reading a technical manual. "Jesus." "Mike," Aaron said, pushing his glasses up. "I'm sorry, man." Michael shrugged. "Sorry doesn't fix it," he responded flatly. They'd been friends since high school, Michael heading to the plant while Aaron went to technical school. Now Aaron ran his own security business, installing systems for homes and small businesses across town. "What exactly are you looking to do here?" Aaron asked, caution in his voice. "I want to see everything," Michael replied. "Every moment they think they're alone. Every lie, every betrayal." Aaron studied him. "Surveillance is one thing. What comes after is your business. But I need to know you're not planning anything illegal," he pressed, concern evident in his tone. Michael met his gaze steadily. "Nothing illegal. Just truth. Painful public truth." Over beers, they sketched the plan. Wireless cameras, hidden in smoke detectors, air vents, and bookshelf corners. Remote monitoring through Michael's phone. Backup to cloud storage only Michael could access. "And the smoke devices?" Aaron asked, pointing to that section of their diagram. Michael's expression remained unchanged. "Theatrical smoke, non-toxic, remote-activated, like they use in fire drills or stage productions." Aaron nodded slowly. "I can build that. Small canisters, powerful enough to fill a room in seconds." "But Mike, this is elaborate," he observed, eyebrows raised. "She didn't just cheat," Michael replied, his first hint of emotion breaking through. "She brought him into our home, where we built our life, He stopped, composing himself. "This isn't just about catching them. It's about consequences." The installation took 3 days, working while Rachel was at the office. Aaron placed cameras in the bedroom ceiling fan, behind the living room television, in the hallway smoke detector, and above the kitchen cabinets. The smoke emitters, disguised as vent covers, went into the bedroom, hallway, and living room. "Test the feed," Aaron instructed, standing in the bedroom. Michael checked his phone outside. The app showed 4 different views, crystal clear. He could see Aaron waving from different angles. "Perfect," Michael confirmed. That night, Michael acted normal when Rachel came home. He kissed her cheek, asked about her day. He even suggested they watch a movie together, something they hadn't done in months. Rachel seemed surprised, then suspicious, but eventually relaxed on the couch beside him. For a moment, with her guard down, she looked like the woman he'd married. Beautiful, warm, present. The pang in Michael's chest surprised him. "Everything okay?" she asked, catching him staring. "Everything's fine," he lied, matching her skill for deception. The next day brought the first test of the system. Rachel called to say she'd be working late. Michael watched his phone as she arrived home at 5:30, made 2 calls, then let Daniel in through the back door at 6:15. The camera in the bedroom captured everything. Their embrace, their undressing, their laughter about Michael working the night shift. The sound was crisp enough to hear Rachel tell Daniel how much better he was, how Michael never satisfied her anymore. Michael watched dispassionately, recording the footage, cataloging every betrayal. When they moved to the shower, he switched camera views, clinical in his observation. At work, Michael maintained his routine. He joked with coworkers, discussed weekend plans, supervised his team with the same attention to detail. No one suspected the rage frozen beneath his calm exterior. At home, he played the devoted husband, even suggesting they plan a weekend getaway to reconnect. Rachel agreed, seeming relieved at his obliviousness. Over the next 2 weeks, Daniel visited 6 times. Each encounter was recorded, saved, backed up. Michael learned their patterns, their preferences, their schedule. Then his private investigator called with news. Rachel had asked for Friday off. So had Daniel. A long weekend while Michael worked. That night, Michael watched the live feed as Rachel texted Daniel. He smiled coldly at the screen at her obvious excitement. "Dance while you can," he whispered. The curtain dropped soon. Thursday afternoon, the call came during Michael's lunch break. Jim Harley's voice was terse. "They're at your place now. Arrive separately, 5 minutes apart," he reported quickly. Michael's pulse remained steady as he checked his phone. The bedroom feed showed them already undressed, Rachel laughing as Daniel kissed her neck. He closed the app. "Sanders," Michael called to his assistant foreman. "I'm heading out. Family emergency." The drive home took 17 minutes. Michael parked 2 blocks away, beneath the shade of an elm tree where he had a clear view of his house but wouldn't be immediately spotted. He pulled out his phone and opened the surveillance app again. They were still in bed. Rachel on top now, her back to the camera. Daniel's hands gripping her waist. The audio picked up every sound, every whispered encouragement. Michael watched with clinical detachment, waiting for the perfect moment. Mrs. Abernathy, the retired school teacher next door, was watering her garden. Across the street, the tailor's teenage son was washing his car. 3 houses down, Carl Weber, Michael's friend and drinking buddy, was trimming hedges. Witnesses. Plenty of witnesses. Michael opened a second app, the custom controller Aaron had designed. 4 smoke emitters, each with its own activation switch. He took a deep breath, centered himself, and pressed all 4 simultaneously. On screen, the effect was immediate. Thick white smoke billowed from the vents, filling the bedroom within seconds. Rachel screamed. Daniel shouted. They scrambled for clothes, but found only chaos in the rapidly filling room. "Fire!" Rachel's voice shrieked through the audio feed. "We have to get out!" Michael stepped out of his truck and began walking calmly toward the house. From his vantage point, he could see Mrs. Abernathy already on her phone, likely calling 911. The tailor boy had stopped washing his car. Attention fixed on Michael's home where smoke now visibly leaked from a bedroom window. The front door burst open. Rachel emerged first, completely naked, coughing violently, eyes wide with panic. Daniel followed seconds later, a pillow clutched inadequately over his groin, his expression pure terror. For 3 crucial seconds, they stood exposed on the front lawn, disoriented by fresh air and adrenaline. Then awareness dawned, the realization that there were no flames, just smoke, and they were standing naked in broad daylight. Rachel saw Mrs. Abernathy first, the old woman's mouth open in shock. Then the tailor boy, already holding up his phone, recording. By then, neighbors from 3 houses down were emerging, drawn by the commotion, and then she saw Michael, walking slowly up the sidewalk, his expression perfectly terribly calm. "Michael!" Her voice cracked with horror. "Fire department's on their way," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Seems there was a lot of smoke, but no actual fire. Interesting. Daniel tried to back toward the house, but Carl Weber and another neighbor moved to block his path. "That's him, right?" Carl asked Michael, grabbing Daniel's arm. "The one you told me about?" Michael nodded, his eyes never leaving Rachel's face. "That's him," he confirmed coldly. Daniel struggled as Carl and the other neighbor roughed him up, knocking away the pillow, leaving him exposed to the growing crowd and their camera phones. "You can't do this!" Daniel sputtered, blood trickling from his lip. "I didn't do anything," Michael replied calmly. "You did this. Both of you." Rachel had fallen to her knees, trying to cover herself, tears streaming down her face. "Please, Michael," she begged. "Please stop this." He crouched beside her, his voice low but carrying in the hush that had fallen over the spectators. "You thought you'd humiliate me in my own home," he said. "Now the whole town sees you for what you are." The fire truck arrived 5 minutes later, followed by a police cruiser. By then, Michael had retrieved a blanket from Mrs. Abernathy for Rachel, his actions appearing compassionate to observers. Daniel had managed to grab his pants from inside but remained shirtless, handcuffed for disturbing the peace after taking a swing at Carl. The fire captain quickly determined there was no fire, just a triggered smoke system. Michael explained he'd installed it recently after a small kitchen fire scare. "Lucky timing," the captain remarked, eyeing Michael suspiciously. "Very lucky," Michael agreed with a solemn nod. That night, alone in his truck parked outside a motel where he'd taken a room, Michael methodically edited the footage. He combined the bedroom scenes with the front yard chaos, blurring only what was legally necessary. The file grew to just over 7 minutes, concise, undeniable evidence. He titled it simply, "The Truth." With one click, he uploaded it to 3 different platforms, then texted the links to everyone in Rachel's contact list he'd copied from her phone months ago. As the view count began climbing, Michael closed his laptop and lay back on the motel bed, finally allowing himself to feel something, not satisfaction exactly, but the quiet certainty that balance had been restored to the universe. The video spread through town like wildfire. By morning, it had 20,000 views. By evening, over 100,000. Local news couldn't report it directly, but vague references to an incident involving public indecency filled the airwaves, driving more curious viewers to search online. Michael returned home the next day to find Rachel gone, her essential belongings taken. A single note on the kitchen counter read, "How could you?" He crumpled it without response. 3 days later, Rachel's sister called, voice tight with controlled anger. "She's staying with me," she said. "She wants to come get the rest of her things." "The door's unlocked from 9 to 5 tomorrow," Michael replied evenly. "I won't be here. This is cruel, Michael." "Even if she made a mistake," she began, but Michael cut her off. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary," he interrupted. "What she did was a choice, made repeatedly, in my home." The sister had no response to that. At work, Michael received nods of respect from men who'd seen the video. No one mentioned it directly, but their eyes conveyed understanding, even approval. The women avoided his gaze, uncomfortable with his calculated revenge, yet unable to defend Rachel's actions. The divorce proceedings moved swiftly. Michael's lawyer presented the private investigator's evidence, the professional photographs and videos, not the viral footage. Rachel had no leverage, no claim to alimony given her infidelity was documented. Michael kept the house, his pension, his dignity. Rachel's professional life collapsed alongside her marriage. The insurance firm, concerned about community standards and company image, terminated her position. Daniel fared no better. His financial firm placed him on leave, then quietly asked for his resignation. 2 weeks after the incident, Michael received a text from an unknown number, Daniel's wife, thanking him for exposing the affair. She'd taken their children to her parents' home in Colorado. "At least someone had the courage to tell the truth," her message read. Michael didn't respond. Rachel attempted reconciliation once, appearing at his door late one evening, eyes red-rimmed, voice trembling. "We could try counseling," she suggested. 18 years, Michael. Doesn't that mean anything? He studied her face, still beautiful, still familiar, and felt nothing but hollow recognition. It meant everything, he replied evenly. That's why I did what I did. You humiliated me. Her composure cracked. I lost everything, she cried, her voice breaking. You chose this, Michael said, his voice never rising. I just made sure you couldn't hide it. After she left, Michael stood in the empty kitchen, listening to the silence. No pretense, no lies. The house felt larger without her presence, without the weight of deception. He opened a beer and walked through each room, acknowledging the memories but refusing to be haunted by them. In the bedroom, he'd replaced the mattress, rearranged the furniture. Nothing remained of their life together except the structure that contained it. Michael sat on the edge of his new bed, took a long sip of beer, and whispered to the empty room. Freedom has a price. She paid hers. 6 months passed. Winter yielded to spring, bringing new growth to the flower beds Rachel once tended. Michael let them fill with wildflowers instead, untamed, honest in their randomness. The video had long since faded from public interest, but its impact lingered. Rachel had left town, moved to Cincinnati according to mutual friends who still spoke to both of them. Daniel had disappeared entirely from local gossip. They existed now only as characters in a cautionary tale, whispered about at bars and book clubs. Michael found himself the unexpected recipient of attention from single women in town. He declined all advances, not from loyalty to Rachel's memory, but from a newfound comfort with solitude. The silence in his home no longer felt like absence. It was presence, peace, possibility. Tonight he sat on his back deck, the one he'd built with his own hands, watching stars appear in the darkening sky. A beer rested beside him, half-finished and forgotten as he contemplated the past year. The revenge hadn't healed him, not completely. The scar remained, a hard ridge across his heart, but it had restored balance to his world. Rachel had attempted to make him a fool, a punchline to a joke he wasn't meant to hear. Instead, he'd rewritten the ending. At the plant, they'd promoted him to senior foreman. His focus, his calm under pressure, qualities forged in betrayal's fire, had impressed management. Life moved forward, one solid step after another. Sometimes he wondered if he'd gone too far, if public humiliation exceeded the crime of private betrayal. But then he'd remember Rachel in their bed with Daniel, laughing at his ignorance, and the doubt would vanish. People say revenge is hollow, Michael said to the night sky. Maybe they're right. But when she chose deceit, she burned the bridge. All I did was light it up so everyone could see. He finished his beer in one long swallow, and I don't regret a single flame. And so, we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.